This was a really wild movie, and we have Brandon Cronenberg to thank for that. Let's talk about the mystery horror sci-fi film Infinity Pool. James and M. Foster are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation on a fictional island. However, a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. The film stars Mia Goth, Alexander Skarsgård, and Cleopatra Coleman, and many others, and was directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who has done the film Possessor. But going into Infinity Pool, the only reason I heard of this movie is because another YouTuber, Zack Attacks Reviews, did a trailer reaction to that, and I have to thank him for actually doing that because I probably wouldn't have known about this movie. I'll link his channel down in the description so you guys can check out his channel. Knowing that it's neon and knowing that Mia Goth was involved in this film, and of course a Cronenberg involved in a film, I knew this film would be very artsy and very crazy, and I actually took my wife to check out this film. She volunteered to go with me. She doesn't go to a lot of films, and before we even went to this film, I said to her, "You're probably not going to like this. It's really artsy and you don't go to a lot of movies, and I don't see you liking this." So when we did go check out this film, me and her definitely had some opposite opinions. I definitely enjoyed this film a lot more than her. This film was rather torturous for her. It's an uneasy movie that never shreds an ounce of predictability. And I love that it also has a approach and engrossing ideas to really making you feel, is this really happening now, or is this all in my head? What is exactly going on? It's not a movie that really wants to give you a lot of details all at once. It's not something that's going to make you feel like you're going to get everything explained to you. You're going to have to think a little bit with this movie. Visually, it's absolutely stunning. The cinematography is really done well, and the way that the camera movements are done as well are done really well. And I like that he uses some tilting of different cameras, different ways of how he has the camera and how he positions the characters in said shots. Even the close-ups, he does a really good job of capturing emotions. Mia Goth, she puts on a gold performance from start to middle to finish. She completely embraces this role, and it's really interesting how her character really develops because she starts kind of like a shy-ish kind of character, trying to warm up to our main character, Alexander Skarsgård, and how her character actually develops. It's just amazing the transformation that she goes from the beginning, middle, and to by the time this film actually ends. I can see a negative that people wouldn't like her character by the end of this film and how they can get a little bit worn out by her character at the end. My wife, she did say that her character got a little bit annoying towards the end as she really goes for it and she really goes all out on this character. It's a very violent movie, but it's very sexual in nature, and there's also a lot of flashing lights. It does remind you before you go check this movie out that there are going to be a lot of flashing lights. The colors are very bright at times. There's a lot of flashing colors as you're watching this film. There's going to be certain scenes where you feel very uncomfortable, very uneasy, and that's just going to depend on your tolerance. Do you watch body horror, and are you interested into seeing gross kind of things? If you're not, you may not have a big tolerance for this film. But I don't think that this film is as crazy as films like Men last year or Crimes of the Future. I think those films are a little bit more outlandish. I think this is an outlandish film, but I also think that it kind of sticks to its guns. It doesn't go too far out there. And I don't think it's necessarily a scary movie or a really horrific kind of film where you have lots of horror, lots of suspense. It's more so a psychological thriller, I would say light psychological thriller, and it has a lot of a sci-fi aspect to it. If you're going into this movie and you're really expecting to have a lot of things explained to you, or something when you're really coming out of this movie that you're going to get a movie that really just kind of sums up all its premise, you're not going to get that in this film. It's going to take a little bit of thinking about what is actually going on, and you may feel at the end that you don't know exactly everything that is going on. This film is a little bit longer than I think it needs to be. There are certain ideas that run a little bit too long and they run their course here, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, where is this going? We've seen this enough now. Let's wrap this part of the story up. Let's get this film going a little bit. And you're going to feel like it's a little bit slow and it kind of hits a snag as it gets to that third act. There's also the topic of the rich. We've seen that a lot in horror. It's a common theme where the rich, they're doing their thing and they are getting their way and they're doing all these different things they shouldn't be doing, but because they are the rich, they get away with it, and you do see that common theme in this film as well. My bottom line consensus, if you're really into artsy horror kind of films and you like body horror, I would say that I recommend this film to you, and especially if you really like Mia Goth because she puts on a really good performance, I would suggest this film. However, if you're someone like my wife that doesn't go to movies very often and you don't really like stories that don't really explain everything, or it's a little bit complicated at points, I would say that you should probably skip this film and maybe wait to streaming if you really want to check it out and don't pay the theater price. Now, with all those thoughts in mind, I would give a score of this film a 3.5 out of 5. I think it has some solid ideas. I think it could have been a little bit better, and I think I would have given a higher score if some of the ideas were executed a little bit better. Let me know down in the comments, are you checking out this film? If you have checked out this film, let me know. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it kind of meh? I want to know your comments down below. Thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.